It was a morning like any other when Diego boarded the bus that took him to school. 11 years old, he was an ordinary boy, with a backpack full of books and a head full of dreams. However, that day was destined to be different, a day that would change his life forever. The bus moved slowly through the city streets, and Diego, absorbed in his thoughts, looked out the window without paying much attention to what was happening around him. Suddenly, a restless murmur took over the vehicle. Diego turned his head and saw a woman at the back of the bus. She seemed nervous, her face reflecting fear. A burly man with an aggressive expression was verbally harassing her, getting dangerously close. The passengers, uncomfortable, looked the other way, avoiding involvement. Diego felt a knot in his stomach, a mix of fear and indignation. He couldn't just sit there and do nothing. Without thinking twice, he got up from his seat and walked decisively to the back of the bus. "Hey, leave her alone," Diego exclaimed, his voice louder than he expected. The man turned, surprised by the interruption, and his expression changed from aggressive to puzzled as he saw the small defender in front of him. "What did you say, kid?" the harasser growled, taking a step toward Diego. Diego, though terrified, did not back down. "I said leave her alone. You have no right to treat her like that." The other passengers began to pay attention, murmuring among themselves. The brave presence of the boy had broken the uncomfortable silence. The bus driver, noticing the disturbance, stopped the vehicle and stood up. "What's going on here?" he asked, authoritatively. The woman, regaining some of her composure, spoke in a trembling voice. "This man was harassing me." The boy intervened to defend me. The driver nodded and addressed the harasser. "Get off the bus right now, or I'll call the police." The man, now facing not only the brave boy but also the disapproving stares of the other passengers and the driver, grumbled something unintelligible and reluctantly got off the bus. As the doors closed behind him, a sigh of relief swept through the vehicle. The woman looked at Diego with eyes full of gratitude and surprise. "Thank you, little one. I don't know what I would have done without you." Diego smiled shyly, feeling the fear he had felt fade away, replaced by a sense of pride. "It was nothing. I just did what anyone should do." The bus resumed its route, and the woman decided to accompany Diego to his destination. They introduced themselves, and she told him her name was Isabel. Although Diego did not know it at the time, Isabel was not an ordinary woman. She was a multimillionaire who had seen and experienced much in her life but had never been defended so bravely by someone so young. When they arrived at Diego's school, Isabel said goodbye to him with a warm smile. "You are a very special boy, Diego. I won't forget what you did for me." Diego, still not fully understanding the impact of his heroic act, just nodded and headed to his class. He couldn't know it at the time, but his life was about to change in ways he could never have imagined, all thanks to his bravery on that bus ride to school. News of the incident on the bus quickly spread among the passengers and school staff. Diego became the hero of the day, though he insisted he had done nothing extraordinary. However, for Isabel, the boy's act of bravery was something she couldn't ignore. That same afternoon, she decided she had to thank him in a more meaningful way. Isabel was a successful woman, known for her wealth and philanthropy, but also for her strong and determined character. That night, she couldn't stop thinking about Diego. How had such a young boy shown such courage? The admiration she felt for him led her to make a decision. She would find Diego and show her gratitude. The next morning, Isabel made some calls and, thanks to her influence, soon obtained Diego's home address. Determined, she headed there. She carried with her a basket of fruit and a thank you card, although she knew this was just the beginning of what she wanted to do for him. When Isabel arrived at Diego's modest home, she rang the doorbell with some expectation. The door opened, and a middle-aged woman appeared, looking surprised too. See the elegant woman standing outside her house. "Good morning. I'm Isabel. I'm here to see Diego," she said with a kind smile. Diego's mother, still perplexed, invited her in. "Diego, come here. Someone wants to see you," she called, and Diego appeared in the living room, with his backpack ready for school. "Mrs. Isabel," Diego said, recognizing her immediately. "What are you doing here?" Isabel smiled and knelt to be at his height. "Diego, I couldn't stop thinking about what you did for me yesterday. You are a very brave boy, and I wanted to thank you personally." She handed him the basket of fruit and the card. "This is just a small gesture to show my gratitude." Diego took the basket, surprised and a little overwhelmed. "Thank you, Mrs. Isabel, but it wasn't necessary. I just did what I thought was right. And that's what makes your act even more special," Isabel responded sincerely. "You are a young man with a brave and generous heart." Diego's mother, observing the interaction, felt a mix of pride and curiosity. "Isabel, we are very grateful for your kindness. Diego told us what happened, but we didn't expect anything like this." Isabel turned to Diego's mother. "I would like to accompany Diego to school today if that's all right with you. I want to make sure he gets there safely and also get to know this incredible young man a little better." Diego's mother, though surprised, agreed with a smile. Of course, it would be an honor. On the way to school, Isabel and Diego talked about many things. Isabel told him about her life, her successes, and also her challenges, and Diego shared his dreams and aspirations. Isabel was impressed by the boy's maturity and intelligence. "Diego, you have a bright future ahead of you. I want you to know that if you ever need anything, you can count on me," Isabel said as they arrived at the school entrance. Diego smiled shyly. "Thank you, Mrs. Isabel. That is very kind of you." Before saying goodbye, Isabel gave him a warm hug. "We'll see each other again soon, Diego. And remember, never stop being brave and kind." As Isabel walked away, Diego watched, feeling a mix of excitement and gratitude. He couldn't foresee how this encounter would change his life, but he knew something special had begun. Isabel, for her part, headed to her office with a renewed sense of purpose. Diego's small act of bravery had sparked in her a desire to do more for those who deserved it, and Diego was the perfect example of a young man with a heart of gold. The next day, Isabel couldn't get the image of Diego out of her mind. The boy had awakened something in her, a mix of admiration and tenderness she hadn't felt in a long time. Determined to do more for him, Isabel headed to her office and began to devise a plan. She wanted to thank him in a way that would truly impact his life. That same morning, she made some calls and coordinated with her assistant to cancel her commitments for the day. She had a more important mission. With a renewed sense of purpose, Isabel headed to Diego's neighborhood, this time with a much more elaborate plan. Diego woke up early as usual, preparing for school. His parents, still amazed by Isabel's visit the day before, reminded him how fortunate he was. "Diego, what you did was very brave. We are very proud of you," his mother said as she made breakfast. Just as Diego was about to leave, they heard the sound of a car parking in front of their house. Curious, they looked out the window and saw Isabel, elegantly dressed, getting out of a luxurious car. Diego, surprised, opened the door before she could ring the bell. "Mrs. Isabel, what are you doing here so early?" Diego asked, unable to hide his surprise. Isabel smiled, radiating warmth. "Good morning, Diego. I couldn't stop thinking about what you did for me and wanted to thank you in a special way. Would you like to accompany me today? I have some surprises prepared for you." Diego's parents, astonished, approached the door. "Isabel, we don't know how to thank you for all this. But Diego has to go to school," his mother said with a mix of gratitude and concern. Isabel raised a hand gently. I've already spoken to the school principal. Diego will have a day off to accompany me. I promise he will be back in time for dinner. Diego, excited about the opportunity, looked at his parents for approval. They, though, surprised, nodded with a smile. All right, Diego, go and enjoy your day. You deserve it. The day began with a visit to a famous toy store. Isabel let Diego choose whatever he wanted, and although he was shy at first, he soon let himself be carried away by excitement. He chose some toys he had wanted for a long time, and as he did, Isabel watched with a smile, enjoying every moment. After the toy store, they headed to an amusement park. Diego couldn't believe his luck. They spent the morning riding attractions and eating ice cream, laughing together as if they were old friends. Isabel felt rejuvenated, enjoying Diego's company and his infectious energy. At noon, they stopped at an elegant restaurant for lunch. Diego, impressed by the place's luxury, felt like a prince. During the meal, Isabel told him more about her life and business, and Diego shared his dreams of becoming a doctor one day to help people. Diego, you have a very big heart. I know you will achieve everything you set your mind to, Isabel said, admiring the boy's maturity and altruism. The last stop of the day was at an immense library with a section dedicated to children. Isabel knew Diego loved to read, so she let him choose some books to take home. As Diego explored the shelves, Isabel felt deep satisfaction. There was something special about this boy, something that inspired her to want to do more. On the way home, Isabel and Diego talked about their day, laughing and sharing stories. Upon arrival, Isabel said goodbye with a warm hug. Diego, this is just the beginning. I want you to know that I will always be here for you. You are a very special person. Diego, with his eyes shining with gratitude, replied, Thank you, Mrs. Isabel. Today has been the best day of my life. Isabel watched Diego enter his house, and as the car drove away, she knew that her connection with him was more than an act of gratitude. It was the beginning of a relationship that would change their lives forever. The sun hadn't fully risen when Diego woke up to the sound of a car parking in front of his house. He rubbed his eyes and looked out the window, surprised to see Isabel's elegant car once again. Confused but excited, he hurried to get dressed and went downstairs. When he opened the door, he found Isabel waiting with a big smile. Good morning, Diego, she said joyfully. May I come in? I have something important to share with your family and you. Diego, still surprised, invited her in. His parents, hearing Isabel's voice, quickly joined the meeting in the living room, curious and expectant. Isabel, it's a pleasure to see you again, Diego's mother said. Please have a seat. 2. What do we owe the honor of your visit so early? Isabel took a seat and pulled a white envelope from her bag, looking at them all with seriousness and warmth. After the day we spent together yesterday, I realized I want to do something more for you. Diego, your bravery and kindness deeply moved me, and I want to help you and your family have a better future. Isabel handed the envelope to Diego's mother, who took it with trembling hands. When she opened it, her eyes widened and began to fill with tears. Inside the envelope was a check with a considerable amount of money. This is for you, Isabel explained. I want to make sure Diego has every opportunity to pursue his dreams and that your family doesn't have to worry about financial difficulties. Diego's mother, unable to speak from emotion, passed the check to her husband, who was also stunned. Isabel, we don't know how to thank you, Diego's father finally said, his voice filled with gratitude. This will change our lives. We have no words. Diego, watching the scene, felt a mix of joy and amazement. Mrs. Isabel, this is too much. I don't know how to thank you. Isabel smiled and knelt to be at Diego's height. Diego, what you did for me is priceless. This is just a small gesture compared to the bravery you showed. I want you to know that I am here to support you in everything you need." Diego's family, still processing the magnitude of the gift, approached Isabel to give her a collective hug. "Thank you, Isabel," Diego's mother said, tears of happiness running down her cheeks. "Thank you for seeing something special in our son and giving us this opportunity." Isabel, moved by the family's sincerity and love, responded, "It is an honor for me to help, and this is just the beginning. I want to be part of your lives and ensure Diego has all the support he needs to achieve his dreams." The rest of the day passed in a whirlwind of emotions and plans. Diego's family discussed how they would use the money to pay off debts, improve their home, and ensure a quality education for Diego. Isabel stayed with them, helping them plan and offering her advice and support. Diego, seeing the transformation his act of bravery had brought to his family, felt deep gratitude and a renewed sense of purpose. He knew the path ahead would be different, full of opportunities and new experiences. Isabel, observing Diego and his family, felt grateful for having found this brave young boy and his kind family. Her connection with them had strengthened, and she was determined to be a guide and support in their lives. That night, as they said their goodbyes, Isabel looked at Diego and his parents with a smile. "Remember, this is just the beginning. I am here for you, and together we will achieve great things." Diego, hugging Isabel once more, whispered, "Thank you, Mrs. Isabel. I promise I won't let you down." Isabel gently stroked Diego's hair. "I know, Diego. You are a special boy, and I am excited to see everything you will achieve. See you soon." With hearts full of hope and gratitude, Diego and his family prepared for a new chapter in their lives, knowing they had Isabel's unconditional support. This unexpected surprise was the beginning of a bright and promising future. That night, Diego's house was filled with a vibrant and excited energy. After Isabel's departure, the family gathered in the small living room, with the check still on the table, like a tangible promise of a new beginning. Diego's parents looked at each other, trying to find the right words to express what they felt. "This is incredible," his mother said, her voice still trembling. "Isabel has been a true angel to us. I can't believe how generous she has been." Diego's father nodded, looking at the check in disbelief. "I never thought something like this could happen to us. We have worked hard all our lives, and now, thanks to Diego, we have a chance to change everything." Diego, sitting on the sofa, looked at his parents with a mix of pride and humility. "I just did what I felt was right," he said, lowering his gaze. "I never imagined something like this would happen." His mother leaned over and hugged him tightly. "We are so proud of you, Diego. Your bravery not only helped Isabel but has changed our lives." That night, as they ate dinner, the conversation revolved around how they would use the money. They decided to prioritize paying off the debts they had accumulated over the years, ensure Diego had access to the best possible education, and improve their home, which had suffered from wear and tear over time. "We should also meet with Isabel to thank her properly," Diego's father suggested. "It's the least we can do after everything she's done for us." Diego's mother agreed. "Yes, it's an excellent idea. We need to show her how much we appreciate her generosity and how she has changed our lives." The following weekend, they got ready and headed to the address Isabel had given them. Diego, dressed in his best clothes, felt nervous but excited at the same time. His parents shared his feelings, aware of the magnitude of the gratitude they wanted to express. Upon arriving at Isabel's luxurious residence, they were greeted by her assistant, who led them to a spacious and elegantly decorated living room. Isabel awaited them with a warm and welcoming smile. "Welcome," Isabel said, extending her arms. "I am so happy to see you." Diego's mother was the first to speak. tears of gratitude in her eyes. Isabel, we can't find the right words to thank you for what you've done for us. Your generosity has changed our lives in ways we never imagined possible. Diego's father nodded, taking his wife's hand. Thank you, Isabel. Thank you for seeing something special in our son and giving us this opportunity. We promise we will make the most of this blessing. Isabel smiled, moved by their sincerity. Diego has taught me that courage and kindness can be found in the most unexpected places. It was his act of bravery that inspired me, and I am happy to help your family. But more than that, I am excited to be part of your lives and see how Diego grows and achieves his dreams. Diego, feeling a surge of gratitude, approached Isabel and hugged her. Thank you, Mrs. Isabel. I will never forget what you have done for us. I promise I won't let you down. Isabel gently stroked Diego's head. I know, Diego. I am sure you will do wonderful things. And remember, I will always be here to support you every step of the way. After the meeting, Diego's family returned home with hearts full of hope and determination. The gratitude they felt for Isabel was immense, and they were more committed than ever to making the most of the opportunity they had been given. That night, as Diego prepared for bed, he reflected on everything that had happened. His life had changed in unexpected ways, and he knew that with the support of his family and Isabel, he could achieve anything he set his mind to. With a smile on his face, he closed his eyes and let himself be carried away by the promise of a bright and full future. Diego's family's life began to transform at a surprising pace. With the money Isabel had given them, they were able to pay off all their debts, which lifted a huge weight off their shoulders. The financial peace allowed them to focus on planning a more promising future for Diego. One day, while they were in the living room discussing the next steps, the house phone rang. Diego's mother answered and, to her surprise, it was Isabel. After a brief conversation, she hung up the phone and looked at her family with a radiant smile. Isabel wants to meet with us again, she announced. She wants to talk to us about something important. The next day, Diego's family headed to Isabel's office. Upon arrival, they were greeted with the same warmth as always. Isabel led them to an elegant meeting room where she offered them something to drink before starting. Thank you for coming, Isabel said, sitting across from them. I have been thinking a lot about you since the last time we met. Diego, you have incredible potential and I want to help you develop it to the fullest. Diego, intrigued, tilted his head. What do you mean, Mrs. Isabel? Isabel smiled. I would like to be your mentor. I want to guide and support you in your education and in achieving your dreams. And not just you, Diego. I want to support your family as well. I would like to offer you access to educational resources, extracurricular activities, and anything else you need to reach your full potential. Diego's parents' eyes filled with tears of gratitude. Isabel, this is more than we could have ever dreamed of, his mother said, her voice trembling. We don't know how to thank you for everything you are doing for us. Isabel extended her hand and placed it gently on Diego's mother's. There is no need to thank me. Diego earned my admiration with his bravery and kindness. This is just the beginning of what I want to do for him and for you. I want Diego to have all the opportunities he deserves. With Isabel's guidance, Diego's family began to chart a new path. Diego was enrolled in one of the best schools in the city, where he had access to a quality education and an enriching learning environment. Isabel also arranged for tutoring and extracurricular classes to help Diego develop his skills and talents. In addition to education, Isabel introduced Diego's family to social and cultural circles that broadened their horizons. On weekends, they attended cultural events, museums, and workshops that enriched their lives and opened new perspectives. For Diego, Isabel's presence in his life was transformative. She was not only a mentor, but also a maternal figure and a friend. With her support, Diego began to excel in school and explore new passions. He became interested in science, art, and literature, and joined several school clubs where he made new friends and learned new skills. One day, during a visit to a science center, Diego approached Isabel with a question that had been on his mind. "Mrs. Isabel, why are you doing all this for us? We are not special. We are just a humble family." Isabel looked at him tenderly. "Diego, you are special. What you did for me on the bus was an act of true bravery and kindness. You showed me that even in the darkest moments, there is always light. Helping you and your family is my way of repaying that kindness. Besides, I see a bright future in you, and I want to make sure you have all the opportunities to reach it." Diego smiled, feeling warmth in his heart. "Thank you, Mrs. Isabel. I promise I won't waste this opportunity." Over time, the relationship between Isabel and Diego grew even stronger. Isabel became an integral part of his life, guiding and supporting him every step of the way. Under her mentorship, Diego flourished, demonstrating an intelligence and dedication that impressed everyone who knew him. Diego's family also thrived. With financial stability and Isabel's continued support, they were able to improve their home and enjoy a quality of life that once seemed unattainable. Isabel had not only changed their lives, but had given them the hope and tools to build a bright future. As the years passed, Isabel watched with pride as Diego grew into a talented and generous young man. His life, once marked by uncertainty, was now filled with promises and possibilities, thanks to Isabel's incredible generosity and guidance. With Isabel's support and mentorship, Diego's and his family's lives began to undergo remarkable transformation. Diego, who had always been a bright and curious child, now had access to resources and opportunities he had never imagined. With each passing day, it became more evident that Isabel had ignited a spark in him, a spark that was turning into a burning passion and determination. Diego excelled in school, not only because of his intelligence, but also because of his dedication and desire to learn. Isabel made sure he had access to everything he needed to nurture his talents. She provided tutors in subjects where he needed additional support and enrolled him in extracurricular activities that sparked his interest in science and technology. Isabel's generosity also allowed Diego's family to improve their quality of life. They were able to move to a larger, more comfortable house in a safe and pleasant neighborhood. Diego's parents, who had always worked hard to give him the best, could now enjoy financial stability that allowed them to focus on their well-being and support Diego in his studies and activities. One afternoon, after returning from a robotics class at school, Diego sat with Isabel on the terrace of their new house. "Mrs. Isabel," Diego began, looking at the horizon, "I want to do something more. You have changed our lives in ways we could never have imagined, and I want to give back in some way." Isabel smiled, seeing the determination in Diego's eyes. "What do you have in mind, Diego?" "I want to help other children in our community," Diego said enthusiastically. "There are many children who don't have the same opportunities one have had, and I want to change that." Isabel felt deep admiration for Diego. His desire to help others was a testament to his big heart. "That's wonderful, Diego. I'm proud of you for wanting to make a difference. How do you plan to do it?" Diego thought for a moment before responding. "We could organize donation drives, collect books and educational materials, and create tutoring programs for children who need them. I want everyone to have the opportunity to learn and grow like I have." Isabel, moved by Diego's generosity and altruism, nodded. "You have my support, Diego. We will work together to make this a reality." With Isabel's support, Diego began to organize several community initiatives. The first was a book drive. where he managed to gather hundreds of books donated by friends, family, and neighbors. These books were distributed in local schools and libraries, providing many children with access to quality educational material. Additionally, Diego and his family, with Isabel's help, established a community tutoring program. They gathered volunteers, including teachers and college students, to offer classes and academic support to children in need. The program was a resounding success, and many children began to show significant improvements in their studies. One afternoon, during one of the tutoring sessions, Diego's mother watched her son interact with the younger children, helping them solve math problems and explaining difficult concepts. She felt immense pride seeing how Diego had taken on a leadership role and was making a difference in the lives of other children. "I am so proud of you, Diego," his mother said later that night. "You have grown so much and become an incredible young man. What you are doing is wonderful." Diego smiled, feeling warmth in his heart. "All of this is thanks to Mrs. Isabel and to you. I want to do everything I can to give back what we have received." Over time, Diego's initiatives began to gain recognition in the community. Local media covered his projects, and his story became a source of inspiration for many. Isabel, watching the positive impact Diego was having, couldn't be prouder. She had seen how a single act of bravery had set off a chain of events that not only changed Diego's life, but also that of many others. Isabel's generosity had planted the seeds of change, and Diego, with his heart full of compassion and determination, had made them flourish. Together, they showed that kindness and support could transform lives and create a future full of promises and opportunities. As Diego and his family continued on their path, they knew they would always have Isabel's support and guidance. And with each step they took, they came closer to a bright and full future, with the certainty that kindness, courage, and generosity would always prevail. As time passed, the relationship between Isabel and Diego grew stronger, becoming something deeper than a simple mentorship. Isabel, who had never had children of her own, found in Diego the son she had always wanted. And for Diego, Isabel became a maternal figure, a guide, and an unconditional friend. One afternoon, while walking through a park, Isabel decided to share something personal with Diego. "Diego," she began, taking a seat on a bench under the shade of a tree, "there is something I want to tell you about my life." Diego sat next to her, curious. "What is it, Mrs. Isabel?" Isabel took a deep breath, gathering her thoughts. "I never had children, and at some point in my life, I focused so much on my career and business that I forgot the importance of personal relationships. I always wanted a family, but time passed, and that opportunity slipped away." Diego looked at her with empathy. "I'm so sorry, Mrs. Isabel. It must have been hard for you." Isabel nodded, her eyes shining with contained tears. "Yes, it was. But then I met you, Diego. That day on the bus changed not only your life but also mine. You have filled a void I didn't even know I had. You are like a son to me." Diego felt deep emotion. "And you are like a mother to me, Mrs. Isabel. I can't imagine my life without your support and affection. You have taught me so much and given me so much." Isabel smiled, moved. "Thank you, Diego. Your bravery and kindness have inspired me more than you can imagine. I am so proud of everything you have achieved and the person you are becoming." Their relationship continued to deepen as they shared more moments together. Isabel attended all of Diego's important events, from academic competitions to art exhibitions. At school, she was always there, supporting and cheering him on, like a proud mother. On one of those occasions, during an awards ceremony at Diego's school, Isabel met Diego's parents. They greeted each other affectionately and sat together to watch the ceremony. "Isabel," Diego's mother said as they waited for the event to begin, "I want you to know how grateful we are for everything you have done for Diego. You have changed our lives in ways we never could have imagined. Isabel smiled, taking Diego's mother's hand. It is an honor for me to be part of your lives. Diego is an extraordinary young man, and you have done a wonderful job raising him. I am happy to contribute to his future. The ceremony began, and when Diego's name was called to receive an award for academic excellence, Isabel and his parents stood up, applauding enthusiastically. Diego walked up to the stage, accepting the award with a radiant smile. He looked at the audience and saw Isabel and his parents, and his heart filled with gratitude and pride. After the ceremony, they gathered for a celebration at home. Isabel brought a cake and some gifts, and they spent the afternoon laughing and enjoying each other's company. During the celebration, Isabel took a moment to speak with Diego privately. Diego, I want you to know that I will always be here for you, no matter what happens. You are like a son to me, and your happiness and success are very important to me. Diego, with tears of joy in his eyes, hugged Isabel. Thank you, Mrs. Isabel. You have done more for me than I can express in words. I promise I will do everything I can to be worthy of your trust and affection. Over time, Isabel and Diego became inseparable. Isabel continued to guide him in his education and life, always offering her wisdom and support. Diego, inspired by Isabel's generosity and love, dedicated himself to giving back to his community and helping others achieve their dreams. The bond between them became an unbreakable connection, a relationship based on love, trust, and mutual respect. Together, they demonstrated that family is not always defined by blood, but by the bonds of affection and support that are built over time. As Diego grew and prepared to face new challenges and opportunities, he knew he would always have Isabel by his side. And for Isabel, seeing Diego flourish and achieve his dreams was the greatest reward she could have imagined. Their lives had been transformed in unimaginable ways thanks to a chance encounter on a bus, and their special bond was a testament to the power of bravery, generosity, and love. Together, they were ready to face any challenge and enjoy a future full of promises and possibilities. Diego, inspired by Isabel's generosity and unconditional support, decided it was time to multiply that kindness and make an even greater difference in his community. Having experienced firsthand the power of altruism, he set out to help other children and families who, like his own, faced challenges and limitations. One afternoon, while walking with Isabel through their neighborhood, Diego shared his plans. Mrs. Isabel, I want to do more for our community. I want to use part of the money you gave us to help others. There are so many children who don't have the same opportunities one have had, and I want to change that. Isabel, moved and proud, nodded. Diego, that is a wonderful idea. What do you have in mind? Diego, with enthusiasm, explained his ideas. He wanted to organize donation drives to collect school supplies, clothing, and food for families in need. He also dreamed of creating a community center where children could receive tutoring, participate in extracurricular activities, and have a safe place to spend their time. Isabel looked at him with admiration. Diego, I am with you in this. I will help you. Make your plans a reality. Together, we can make a big difference. With Isabel's help, Diego began organizing the first donation drive. Using Isabel's networks and his own at school and in the community, they spread the word. The response was overwhelming. Friends, neighbors, and strangers joined the cause, donating generously and offering their time as volunteers. On the day of the first drive, Diego and a group of volunteers set up a collection point in the neighborhood's Central Park. Tents and tables filled with school supplies, clothing, and food lined up as grateful families approached to receive the help. Diego, with a radiant smile, greeted each person who arrived. Welcome, take what you need. We are here to help. Isabel, watching from the side, felt deep satisfaction. Seeing Diego lead with such compassion and effectiveness reaffirmed her belief in the power of altruism. She knew she had made the right decision in supporting Diego and his family. After the successful donation drive, Diego focused on creating the community center. With Isabel's financial support and the community's help, they found a suitable building that needed some repairs and conditioning. The volunteers got to work, painting, cleaning, and equipping the place with everything necessary. The day of the community center's inauguration was a memorable event. Families and children from the neighborhood gathered to celebrate the opening of a space that promised to be a beacon of hope and opportunities. Diego, excited, cut the ribbon with Isabel as applause resounded. In his inaugural speech, Diego said, "This center is for all of you. Here you can learn, grow, and dream big. All of this has been made possible by the incredible generosity of our community and, especially, Mrs. Isabel, who has been my guide and support. I hope this place becomes a symbol of what we can achieve when we work together and take care of each other." The community center quickly became a vibrant and active place. Tutoring classes, art, workshops, sports, and many other activities were offered. The children had a safe place to spend time after school, and the parents could feel reassured knowing their children were in good hands. One day, while watching the children play and learn at the center, Isabel approached. "Diego, I am very proud of you, Diego. You have done something incredible here. You are changing lives and creating a better future for many." Diego smiled, feeling deep gratitude. "All of this has been possible thanks to you, Mrs. Isabel. You showed me the way and gave me the tools to make this a reality. I will never be able to thank you enough." Isabel hugged him tenderly. "You are an inspiration, Diego. I am sure you will continue to do wonderful things. And remember, I will always be here to support you." Diego's giving back not only transformed his community but also strengthened his bond with Isabel and reaffirmed his life's purpose. Through his dedication and altruism, Diego demonstrated that kindness can multiply and that a single act of bravery can trigger a wave of positive change. As Diego continued on his path, he knew that with Isabel's support and his family's, and with his own indomitable spirit, he could face any challenge and continue to make a difference in the world. His story was a testament to the power of love, generosity, and determination, and how these values can change lives forever. The years passed, and the transformation Diego had initiated in his community continued to grow and evolve. The community center became a model of success, providing resources and support to thousands of families. Diego, with Isabel's constant guidance and his family's unwavering support, became a leader and an inspiring figure. To everyone who knew him, Diego excelled in school, not only for his academic achievements but also for his dedication to community service. His efforts did not go unnoticed, and he received numerous scholarships and recognitions that allowed him to access quality higher education. Over time, he was accepted into a prestigious university, where he decided to study public administration and community development with the aim of continuing to help others on an even larger scale. In his final year of university, Diego was invited to give a talk at a conference on youth leadership and community service. Isabel, proud and excited, accompanied him to the event. As Diego prepared to take the stage, Isabel looked at him with admiration and deep satisfaction. He had grown so much since that day on the bus, and his determination and kindness had touched countless lives. Diego took the stage and looked at the audience with confidence. "Good afternoon, everyone," he began, his voice full of emotion. "Today, I want to share with you a story that began with an act of bravery and generosity, and how that act changed my life and the lives of many others." He narrated his story, from the moment he defended Isabel on the bus to the creation of the community center, and his future plans. The audience listened attentively, inspired by his journey and his dedication to making the world a better place. Everything I have achieved would not have been possible without the support of a very special person, Diego continued, looking at Isabel in the front row. Isabel, thank you for seeing something in me when I could barely see it myself. Thank you for your generosity, your guidance, and your love. You are like a mother to me, and everything I owe to you. Isabel, with tears of pride in her eyes, stood up as the audience applauded fervently. Diego descended from the stage and approached her, hugging her with gratitude and love. After the conference, Diego and Isabel walked together through the university campus, reflecting on everything they had achieved together. I am so proud of you, Diego, Isabel said, her voice full of emotion. You have accomplished so much and touched so many lives. The future is bright, and I am excited to see everything you will still do. Diego smiled, feeling deep gratitude and determination. Thank you, Isabel. I wouldn't have gotten this far without you. But this is just the beginning. I want to keep making a difference. I want to keep helping others. With his university degree in hand and an unshakable passion for community service, Diego began working on community development projects and public policies. His goal was to create programs that empowered disadvantaged communities, providing education, employment, and opportunities for all. Isabel, always by his side, continued to be his mentor and friend. Together, they traveled to different places, sharing their story and working on projects that benefited thousands of people. Diego's influence grew, and he soon became a respected and recognized voice in the field of community development. One day, during a ceremony where Diego was recognized for his work in community service, Isabel looked around and saw the tangible impact of what they had achieved. Together, happy families, educated children, and thriving communities were the living testimony of their dedication and effort. Diego took the stage to receive his award and once again directed his words to Isabel. Isabel, all of this is thanks to you. You have been my guide, my support, and my inspiration. I promise I will continue working to make this world a better place, and I will always carry your spirit of generosity and love in my heart. Isabel, with tears of joy, applauded along with the crowd, knowing she had been part of something truly special. She had found in Diego the son she had always wanted, and together they had shown that bravery, kindness, and love could change lives forever. What an exciting journey we've just experienced together. But this is only the beginning. Click on the next video that appears on your screen and keep enjoying amazing content. If you want me to keep bringing you these stories every day, consider supporting me with a coffee through the Buy Me a Coffee link in the pinned comment. Your support is what makes it possible for me to keep telling these stories. See you in the next video.